Will Smith earned the moniker Mr. Blockbuster for his undeniable reign at the box office. Nearly every film he starred in turned into an instant hit, fetching him hefty paychecks, regardless of their quality. Even projects like Ali were not deemed failures, but rather daring experiments by the talented actor. However, there came a time when the adoration for Will Smith waned, including his missteps. It was his zeal to propel his son into stardom that initially overshadowed his career. Yet, he later found himself somewhat eclipsed, especially after his contentious encounter with Chris at the Oscars, which seemed to dim his star power momentarily. According to Will Smith, his journey to success was a deliberate endeavor. He honed his craft meticulously, refusing to dazzle prematurely. Overcoming his insecurities, he meticulously crafted his public persona, eventually stepping into the limelight with confidence. Smith's foray into music was another testament to his versatility. Garnering Grammy Awards and substantial earnings, his musical endeavors proved to be yet another triumph in his illustrious career. The earnings from his successes were quickly spent on frivolous luxuries, with Will Smith neglecting his tax obligations. This moment coincided with his breakthrough role in the series The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, which, despite its popularity, failed to generate substantial income by the late 80s. As debts mounted and the tax authorities loomed, Smith accepted an offer from NBC. Throughout the six-season run of the series, most of his earnings went toward settling his debts. However, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air skyrocketed in popularity, propelling Smith's star status with each passing season. Yet, alongside his rise to fame came whispers of discontent. Some claimed he neglected to learn his scripts, leading to friction with co-stars like Janet Hubert, who departed the show after the third season, alleging mistreatment by Smith. Despite these controversies, Smith's talent was undeniable. His roles in films like Made in America and 6 Degrees of Separation caught the attention of Hollywood studios, signaling his transition from television to the silver screen. By 1995, Smith was poised to conquer Hollywood with his undeniable charm and talent. The film Bad Boys was titled Bulletproof Hearts. The script originally earmarked the lead roles for Wesley Snipes and Eddie Murphy. However, Murphy's astronomical asking price of $15 million rendered the project financially unviable for many investors. Consequently, the producers began searching for a more cost-effective lead, eventually turning their attention to Will Smith. Despite Smith's expressed interest, the filmmakers initially overlooked him, considering other actors like Arsenio Hall for the role. However, Hall declined the opportunity, later admitting it was a significant career misstep. Meanwhile, Smith's career trajectory, guided in part by his knack for selecting roles, occasionally intersected with Samuel L. Jackson's. Despite lucrative television offers, Smith remained discerning in his choices, turning down projects that failed to align with his career goals. Unlike co-star Martin Lawrence and director Michael Bay, who invested their own money into the film, Smith's financial independence afforded him the luxury of rejecting certain offers. He even negotiated terms on set, refusing to disrobe entirely, opting instead to unbutton his shirt. While camaraderie existed between Smith and Lawrence on set, with affectionate gestures limited to behind the scenes, any derogatory remarks were swiftly rebuked, reflective of Smith's progressive values. Smith's elevated status occasionally led to playful teasing directed at Lawrence, highlighting the dynamics of their relationship amidst the filmmaking process. With a budget of $19 million, Bad Boys wasn't released until April 1995, eventually grossing $141 million. Smith quickly ascended as a rising star, prompting the eventual closure of his series, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Although Smith began refusing to appear in the show, declining ratings also contributed to its demise. Even if Smith had continued filming, it likely would have been canceled after season 1 or 2. For his role in Independence Day, Smith received $5 million without the need for auditions. Director Roland Emmerich had envisioned Smith in the film from the script's conception, inspired not by Bad Boys, but by the film 7 Degrees of Separation. Despite skepticism from studio executives, Emmerich pushed for Smith's casting, overcoming resistance that he attributed to potential racism. Smith's improvisational skills, including the iconic scene where he dragged an alien through the desert, contributed significantly to the film's success. The shooting conditions were truly unpleasant, with a lingering foul odor that plagued the set. Frustrated, Smith vented his frustrations towards nature before channeling them into his performance as he interacted with extraterrestrial beings. Reflecting on the filming in his autobiography, Smith described it as challenging, with sweltering heat causing constant injuries. During one particularly memorable incident, he even caught fire while filming, a terrifying experience that brought into focus the fragility of life. Interestingly, Smith's girlfriend in the film could have been played by Jada Pinkett Smith, who had already secured the role but had to withdraw due to scheduling conflicts with another project. Pinkett Smith had previously missed out on a role in The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, but her talent was evident, leaving a lasting impression on those around her. Independence Day, released in July '96, became the highest-grossing film of the year, raking in $817 million with a budget of $75 million. Smith's star power skyrocketed, making him one of Hollywood's leading men. Ahead of the release of Independence Day, Smith also secured a $5 million payday for his role in Men in Black. Unlike the challenges faced on the set of Emmerich's films, Smith found himself supported by a stellar cast and crew. Chris O'Donnell initially turned down a leading role in Men in Black, a decision he later regretted as the film's success unfolded. Among the projects Will Smith turned down was a significant offer for the main role in another film. Despite being drawn to the script, he ultimately opted for Men in Black. Rumors has it that during this time, Jada Pinkett Smith, who was not yet Smith's wife, advised him to consider roles more closely. Although already friends, Smith heeded her advice, leading to yet another blockbuster hit. With a budget of $90 million, Men in Black grossed an impressive $589 million. Smith found himself regularly facing decisions to decline various projects. Some offers were quite peculiar, such as a role in the fourth Lethal Weapon film, ultimately played by Chris Rock. Smith promptly turned down this offer. He also considered a role in Brian De Palma's Snake Eyes, but backed out due to concerns about the film's ensemble cast. Some suggest he demanded too high a salary, leading the studio to pass on his involvement. For Enemy of the State, Smith chose to work with director Tony Scott, earning $14 million for his role. The film, which eventually starred Gene Hackman, differed significantly from its initial concept. Smith's refusal to take on the role multiple times underscores his selective approach to projects. There were even rumors that he might have appeared in a film directed by Stanley Kubrick, but circumstances led to Hackman's involvement instead. Smith's track record of box office success led many to believe that anything he touched turned to gold. While Enemy of the State wasn't a failure, grossing $251 million with a $90 million budget, it fell short of blockbuster status. It was during this period that Smith famously turned down a role in The Matrix, a decision that would have resulted in an adult-oriented film, aligning with his strategic approach to his career. In place of The Matrix, Smith opted for Wild Wild West, even agreeing to reduce his salary demands to $7 million. Interestingly, Wild Wild West was targeted at a teenage audience, a departure from the adult-oriented projects Smith had been offered previously. The film Wild Wild West had a tumultuous development history. Initially conceived in the early 1990s with Mel Gibson set to star, it went through multiple iterations before Smith's involvement. Tom Cruise briefly considered the lead role before ultimately choosing Mission Impossible. Eventually, Smith was invited to join the project, drawn by the success of Men in Black. Legends and tales surround the making of Wild Wild West, with rumors suggesting significant changes to the script during production. Various versions of the script emerged throughout filming and editing, leading to confusion among audiences during test screenings. The film's budget constraints also necessitated salary reductions for Smith, adding to the challenges faced during production. Despite the difficulties, Wild Wild West endured as a unique blend of comedy and fantasy, albeit with mixed reception from viewers. Following the disappointing reception of Wild Wild West, the studio initiated extensive reshoots aimed at injecting more comedy into the film to address the rumors surrounding its production. However, Warner Bros. Ultimately distanced themselves from the project during post-production, and even considered renaming it to something like Black Sheep in certain meetings. Aware of the film's quality issues, nobody from the studio's quality department was eager to work on it, anticipating its association with box office failure. Despite Smith's awareness of the film's shortcomings, he was surprised by its relative success, grossing nearly $222 million worldwide against its $170 million budget. However, it was still considered a disappointment, marking Smith's first box office failure and earning him his first Golden Raspberry Award for Worst Screen Duo with Kevin Kline. The experience prompted Smith to reassess his career trajectory, leading him to pursue projects like The Legend of Bagger Vance and Ali. The former was directed by Robert Redford, known for his directorial prowess and previous success with films like The Horse Whisperer. Initially considering a role for Morgan Freeman, Redford opted for younger actors, including Smith. Ali, directed by Michael Mann, was also strategically chosen given Mann's reputation for creating acclaimed films that appealed to both audiences and critics alike. Ali and The Legend of Bagger Vance both failed to meet box office expectations, with Ali grossing $87 million against a $107 million budget, and The Legend of Bagger Vance earning $39 million against an $80 million budget. Smith's decision to return to the Men in Black franchise was influenced by these setbacks, as well as his dissatisfaction with the quality of scripts he had been receiving. Despite initial concerns about the script, the second installment of Men in Black saw an increased budget compared to the first film and went on to achieve commercial success, grossing $442 million against a $140 million budget. However, Smith faced another disappointment with the sequel to Bad Boys, which also carried an adult age rating. Bad Boys the Sewu earned $273 million with a budget of $130 million. Following these ups and downs, Smith starred in I, Robot, which was originally intended to be a big-budget blockbuster. Denzel Washington was initially offered the lead role, but declined due to concerns about the script. With a budget that eventually ballooned to $120 million, the film grossed $347 million worldwide. Smith's next success came with Hitch, a film that he agreed to work on for the process rather than the paycheck. With a relatively modest budget of $70 million, Hitch earned $371 million. Smith personally oversaw the casting process for the film, ensuring a high level of quality in the ensemble cast. With The Pursuit of Happiness, Smith seized the opportunity to showcase his talent once again. Director Gabriele Muccino selected the project for Smith, marking the beginning of Jaden Smith's acting journey, with Will recognizing his son's potential. Will agreed to work on the film for a percentage of its future box office earnings, a deal which could have significant financial implications depending on whether he had a first dollar deal or a percentage of profits after expenses. The film grossed $307 million against a budget of $55 million. Although it's unclear whether Smith's earnings were based on a first dollar arrangement or a share of profits, which could result in a difference of up to 3 times in earnings. Regarding I Am Legend, the project faced numerous challenges in the 1990s, including issues with Ridley Scott and Arnold Schwarzenegger. Tom Cruise declined the role, citing dissatisfaction with the script. As a result, Smith stepped in to take on the project. Alternatively, Smith could have appeared in the comedy Chuck and Larry Fireman's Wedding, originally intended for him. But the project faced delays due to script changes. Despite interest from Hollywood directors like Ridley Scott and Guillermo del Toro, Smith's involvement in I Am Legend came amidst uncertainties about its production, a common concern for long-term projects. Unofficially, it's believed that Smith's refusal to work with Guillermo del Toro stemmed from a desire to maintain creative control rather than being overshadowed by a superstar director. Francis Lawrence ultimately took on the directorial role, despite challenges working with Smith, who occasionally caused delays and disruptions on set, such as attending Tom Cruise and Katie Holmes' wedding mid-filming. However, these setbacks didn't prevent I Am Legend from becoming a box office hit, grossing $585 million against a $150 million budget. Smith's decision not to sacrifice his character's life in the film's alternative ending also hints at his influence on the project, with a sequel reportedly in the works. In the early 2000s, when Hancock was in development at Sony, George Clooney was initially sought for the lead role, but he declined upon learning it was based on a comic book. Ben Affleck also turned down the role due to his experience with Daredevil. Eventually, Matt Damon was considered for the role but dropped out, leading to Smith's casting. Smith advocated for Charlize Theron to join the project after Aishwarya Rai's unavailability. Despite being intended for a mainstream audience, Hancock underwent significant editing to achieve a more teen-friendly rating, toning down darker elements from the original version. The film's comedic portrayal of Smith's character's interactions with the opposite sex was subject to debate, with some viewing it as humorous, while others saw it differently, contributing to the film's success. In cinemas, Hancock amassed $624 million with a $150 million budget, solidifying Will Smith's status as a Hollywood superstar. Smith typically commanded fees ranging from $20 to $30 million per film, alongside significant percentage deals. Following his success in Hancock, Smith took a hiatus from cinema in 2008 to focus on his son Jaden Smith's burgeoning career. Their collaboration on Karate Kid in 2010, despite its modest budget, grossed $350 million worldwide, with Jaden earning a $3 million fee. Seeking a more challenging project to showcase his son's potential, despite initially hesitating, Smith agreed to star in the third installment of the Men in Black franchise in 2012, enticed by Sony's offer of first-dollar participation. His fee for Men in Black 3 amounted to over $110 million, contributing to the film's $625 million box office success against a $225 million budget. However, Smith's substantial earnings led to tensions with the studio, prompting discussions about a fourth installment without his involvement. Smith's fees for Men in Black 3 have been cited as one of the biggest financial disputes in Hollywood history, surpassing even Keanu Reeves's earnings from the Matrix trilogy. Despite the success of Men in Black 3, Smith faced his first major box office disappointment in 2013 with After Earth. Rumors surrounding the film include claims that director M. Night Shyamalan took a passive role, allowing Smith to dominate the filmmaking process. The failure of After Earth marked a significant setback for Will Smith's career, with rumors swirling about conflicts on set and the film's lackluster performance at the box office. Tom Cruise faced a critical juncture during the production of The Third Mission, Impossible film, where his involvement was nearly terminated. Similarly, Will Smith encountered a similar dilemma when it became apparent that his son's career lacked momentum. Despite these challenges, the acclaimed actor made a determined comeback, although significant roles were no longer readily available to him. To sustain himself during this period, Smith accepted minor roles to supplement his income. However, his true comeback was envisioned through potential project, Focus. Unfortunately, Focus failed to realize its full potential despite collecting $158 million against a $50 million budget. This compelled Smith to join the ensemble cast of Suicide Squad, a film that, while commercially successful with $746 million in box office earnings, faced severe criticism from audiences. Despite his involvement in successful projects like Suicide Squad, Smith found himself nominated once again for a Golden Raspberry Award for his role in Collateral Beauty. Nevertheless, he embraced the emerging trend of streaming services, signing a lucrative deal with Netflix for the film Bright. The movie garnered widespread acclaim. In 2019, Will Smith returned to the big screen with Aladdin and Gemini Man. Gemini Man was expected to be a major hit with revolutionary visual effects, but it turned out to be too humorous. The film struggled at the box office, only collecting $173 million against a $138 million budget. Despite its shortcomings, Aladdin still rescued Smith's career. The film's production was delayed for almost a year due to the challenging casting process. Guy Ritchie, the director, wanted an actor who could bring a fresh take to the role of Genie, different from Robin Williams' iconic portrayal. Smith himself expressed doubts about playing Genie, fearing he couldn't match the animated character or Williams' performance. However, he drew inspiration from his own roles in The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and Bad Boys. Aladdin marked Smith's first Disney film and became the highest-grossing movie of his career, earning $1,051 million worldwide. Despite the film's success, Smith received a Golden Raspberry nomination. Nevertheless, Aladdin helped restore his reputation after a string of previous failures. During the peak of the pandemic, when cinemas were swiftly closed, Will Smith's film Bad Boys for Life managed to release and grossed $426 million against a $90 million budget. It became the highest-grossing film of 2021 as all other releases were postponed due to the circumstances. This success marked a comeback for the talented actor. He signed up for the lead role in the film King Richard, which centered around the Williams sisters' father. The film garnered Oscar buzz even before its release, although it didn't perform well at the box office. However, Smith's hopes for an Oscar win were overshadowed by an incident at the awards ceremony. During the ceremony, Chris Rock made jokes about Smith's wife, Jada Pinkett, which seemed to upset Smith. The media mocked Pinkett's hairstyle, which led to Smith slapping Chris Rock onto the stage. Smith faced serious consequences. Several projects he was signed up for were canceled, including the film Emancipation, which was postponed for several months. On the internet, there were demands to cancel Smith and forget about his existence. Despite apologizing, Smith laid low and refrained from seeking attention. American critics criticized him harshly. However, over a year and a half after the incident, Smith seems to be gradually making a comeback. The filming for Bad Boys 4 is underway, and if all goes well with its release, the media may eventually move on from the controversy as if nothing happened. The development of a continuation of the film I'm Legend is currently in a semi-frozen state. However, if the team behind the project succeeds, it could mark a significant achievement. Will Smith's career can be viewed in various ways, but he remains the actor whose films consistently performed well at the box office, regardless of franchise association. This earned him the unofficial title of Mr. Blockbuster, placing him in the league of actors like Arnold Schwarzenegger or Jim Carrey, who also made their mark with their presence on screen. Of course, Smith has appeared in a variety of successful films over the decades, partly due to his talent and partly due to his desire to support his son's burgeoning career. Perhaps Smith will have the opportunity to stage a comeback. At only 55 years old,